It's 3 a.m. You're awake. Nothing happened, nobody died, you don't have a real problem. But your brain is running through every conversation you had this week, every bill, everything you said that came out wrong. Every way tomorrow could go badly. You've been lying there for an hour. You know you need to sleep. That makes it worse. An ancient human sleeping next to a lion was more relaxed than you are right now. That's not a metaphor. That's biology. The question is why, and the answer is going to make you genuinely angry. Most people hear that and think, obviously, life was simpler back then. No, it wasn't. Ancient humans had zero food guaranteed for tomorrow, no medicine if they got sick, no shelter that a predator couldn't walk through. Death was not a possibility, it was a daily reality. By every logical measure, they had more to be anxious about than you will ever have in your entire life. So why weren't they? The answer starts with understanding what anxiety actually is, because almost nobody gets this right. Your anxiety is not a malfunction. It is a perfectly working system running in the wrong century. Here is what happens inside your body when your brain detects a threat. Any threat. Cortisol floods your bloodstream. Adrenaline spikes. Your heart rate rises, your muscles tense, your digestion shuts down. Your vision narrows to the thing in front of you. This is your stress response, and it is the single reason your ancestors survived long enough for you to exist. For an ancient human, it worked perfectly. A lion appears. Cortisol spikes, you run or you fight. The lion is gone. Cortisol drops, body resets, and it's done. The whole cycle, threat to resolution, took minutes. Psychologists call this acute stress. Sharp, fast, and then finished. Now here's your problem. Your brain receives 100 signals a day that register as threats. An unread email, a notification, a conversation you keep replaying, a bill, a comment someone made, a life on Instagram that looks better than yours. None of these are lions. But your brain, running 300,000-year-old hardware, cannot tell the difference. So cortisol rises and never fully drops. Psychologists call this chronic stress. And unlike the acute stress that kept your ancestors alive, chronic stress destroys everything it touches. Your sleep, your immune system, your ability to think clearly, your sense that anything will ever be okay. This is anxiety, not weakness, not a character flaw, not something wrong with you. A perfectly designed alarm system going off in a world it was never built for. But that still doesn't explain why ancient humans didn't have it. Because they had the same cortisol system, the same adrenaline response, the exact same biological machinery. So what was different? Something specific protected them. Something we can measure. Something that existed for 290,000 years of human history. And something that was systematically destroyed in the last 10,000 years. Once you understand what it is, the 3 a.m. brain spirals, the background dread, the feeling that something is always slightly wrong, all of it starts to make sense. Not as a personal failure, as an exact and predictable consequence of what was taken from you. For 290,000 years, humans lived in groups of 30 to 50 people. You knew everyone around you. They knew you, not your username, not your highlight reel. You, your history, your fears, your capabilities, your role. And that role was non-negotiable. You were a hunter, a gatherer, a healer, a storyteller. The group needed you to survive. Not metaphorically, literally. If you didn't show up, people died. And when something went wrong, you never faced it alone. Ever. Someone got sick. The group cared for them. Someone's hunt failed. The group shared food. And if someone couldn't sleep, someone sat with them through the night. Your nervous system evolved inside this structure for hundreds of thousands of years. It was calibrated for a world where you were permanently embedded in a small group of people who knew you completely and needed you to exist. That is what your cortisol system was designed to run inside. Not an open plan office, not a city of strangers, not a phone full of people who have never actually seen you scared. A tribe of 30 to 50 people who would notice if you didn't come back. Then 10,000 years ago, farming arrived. And farming did something no predator, no famine, no ice age had ever managed to do. It separated us from each other. When you farm, you stay in one place. You accumulate. You own things. For the first time in human history, what you had was different from what your neighbor had. Status became something you could lose. The future became something you had to plan for. And worry, real chronic, unresolvable worry, entered the human experience for the first time. Anthropologist Christopher Boehm spent decades studying this transition. His finding: the moment humans started farming, anxiety-related behaviors appeared in the archaeological record for the first time. Hoarding, hierarchy obsession, and status competition. Before farming, almost no evidence of chronic stress in human skeletal remains. After farming, it's everywhere. And then the Industrial Revolution finished the job. It didn't just change how we worked. It dissolved the last remnants of tribal structure that had survived into the modern era. Villages became cities. Extended families became nuclear families. Nuclear families became individuals staring at screens. In 1900, the average person knew most of the people in their community. By 2000, the average person in a city did not know their neighbor's name. In 100 years, we went from tribal mammals to strangers sharing walls. Here is the thing nobody says out loud. Neuroscientist John Kekyapo spent 30 years studying loneliness. His finding was this: chronic loneliness triggers the exact same biological stress response as physical danger. Your brain treats feeling unknown the same way it treats being hunted. This means your 3 a.m. spiral, that wordless dread, that sense that something is wrong even when nothing is wrong, is not irrational. It is your nervous system correctly detecting that something is wrong. You are surrounded by more humans than any ancestor ever was, and your brain has never felt more alone. Then we built social media, which promised connection and delivered comparison. Your brain evolved to care deeply about your status within a group of 30 people. It is now exposed to the highlight reels of 8 billion. Every time you scroll, your status system is running calculations it was never designed to run at this scale. Measuring yourself against people you will never meet, competing for approval from strangers who don't know your name, and performing a version of yourself that doesn't actually exist. And the result is a chronic low-level alarm that never switches off. You've been calling it anxiety. Your ancestors would have called it the feeling of being cast out from your tribe, because for 290,000 years, that is exactly what it was. Being separated from your people was the most dangerous thing that could happen to a human being. Your brain still believes that. Every single day. Ancient humans never lay awake at 3 a.m. spiraling about tomorrow. Not because their lives were easier, because they never faced tomorrow alone. Your anxiety is not evidence that something is wrong with you. It is evidence that something is wrong with the world you were handed. A world that took a species built for deep belonging and placed it inside a system of perfect isolation, infinite comparison, and futures that never resolve. The caveman alarm is still going off. There's just no lion, and no tribe to run back to. But here is what the science actually says about this. The antidote to chronic anxiety is not productivity. It is not optimism. It is not another podcast or another self-help framework. It is being genuinely known by someone. Not followed, not liked, not subscribed to, but known by someone. Neuroscience researcher Brené Brown spent decades studying human connection. Her finding: the people with the lowest anxiety levels were not the most successful, the most medicated, or the most optimistic. They were the people who had at least one relationship where they felt completely seen. That's all it took. Tonight, tell one person something true about how you're actually feeling. Not a post, not a status, a real conversation with a real person. Your nervous system has been waiting 10,000 years for you to do exactly that.